What's up, everybody? Rick Pino here from Get Wisdom. What if there was a way to take the process of your business journey, the hardships, the overwhelm, those seasons of, man, it just feels like too much, I don't know what I'm going to do. What if there was a way to reframe all of that from this is a punishment into this is my preparation? What if there was a way to understand that the pressure in our business journey is actually what produces purity, patience, and power? Well, in today's training, guys, I'm going to be giving you the 3 secrets on how to make it through the process so that you can become perfected and eventually stand in the place of your prize. Stay tuned because we're talking about it all today in the training. So a number of years ago, I took my family to Florence, Italy. Okay, Florence, Italy, if you don't know, is the birthplace of the Renaissance. What's the Renaissance? The Renaissance was this incredibly special time in history where over the course of just over 100 years, all of the most insane, crazy, awesome artists and mathematicians and poets and musicians were all born out of this one moment of history, and the epicenter of it all was Florence, Italy, okay? And out of this crazy moment in the Renaissance, it literally shook the planet with creativity, so much so that even today, hundreds and even thousands of years later, we are still living in the wake of how incredible this moment was. Now, one of the most prolific artists to come out of the Renaissance was a gentleman by the name of Michelangelo. Okay? Ooh, you like that Italian? I don't know what accento that was, but it was a good one. Anyways, Michelangelo, okay? And Michelangelo, you guys might have known. Michelangelo, he painted the Sistine Chapel, absolutely jaw-dropping, right? And all of this work is still here. The first lesson we need to understand is that why do we need to tap into another level of creativity? Because guess what? Things that you build out of your creativity outlast your lifetime. Michelangelo's work is still out there for people like me and you to be impacted by and to enjoy it, right? And the beautiful part about what you're building right now in your business, if you do it correctly, and the more you tap into that spirit of creativity, the more likely your business can outlive your lifetime. I don't know about you, but I would love for my business to outlive me. I would love for my legacy to outlive me so that others can continue to be impacted by my life long after I'm gone. Anyone here want some of that? Shout yes in the comments if that's you. So guys, we rolled up to Florence, Italy, and I was like, man, I have to see the statue of David. Okay, so Michelangelo, not only did he do the Sistine Chapel, but he also formed the statue of David. Now, here's the crazy part. If you don't know about the statue of David, okay, the statue of David is one of the most epic, one of the most prolific masterpieces of the last 1,000 years. It is absolutely jaw-dropping. When you lay eyes on the statue of David, literally for me, when I turned that corner and I looked at the statue of David for the first time in real life. Real quick, today's training is brought to you by my upcoming 5-day Create and Sell Digital Products Challenge, where I'm going to show you how to monetize your knowledge so that you can start getting paid for what you know. And maybe you're sitting here going, I don't know what I would say. I don't know what I would sell. I don't even know my niche. That's exactly why you need to consider joining me. Over the course of 5 days, I'm going to show you exactly everything you need to know on how to launch so that you can start building that new stream of income. Click that link down below. Tickets are currently on sale. Don't miss it. Now back to the training. I started weeping. It is so gorgeous. It's perfection, right? But here's what most people don't know. Here's what most people don't understand, okay? Not only was the statue of David so perfect that they built the museum around it, okay? When Michelangelo finished the statue, they didn't go, wow, this is awesome. Let's go move it into the museum. No, they're like, it's perfect just the way it is. We're just gonna build around it because we do not wanna miss anything up here. And so not only did they build the museum around it, but here's the crazy part, and almost nobody knows this unless you've been there, okay? It's this beautiful museum, and of course, the centerpiece, the center jewel of all of it is a statue of David, but the museum is filled with all kinds of different pieces of Michelangelo's journey in his sculpting. I didn't know this. So we purchased tickets. We walk into the front door. I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, this is going to be pretty cool. We walk into the front door, and in this room, there's like a bunch of like heads, like, statues of heads and faces. And you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Michelangelo did all of these, right? And you look at this one and you look at that one, you're like, wow, that's crazy. And as you walk through this museum and you turn this corner and then you turn this corner, as you're walking through the museum, you begin to see, whoa, like the evolution of Michelangelo's process. Somebody in the comments shout process. You begin to see the evolution of Michelangelo's process. You walk in and you're like, wow, this is really interesting. You're walking, and then you turn this corner, you're like, oh my gosh, like he got way better at faces in this season. And then you walk down that row and then you turn the next corner, you're like, whoa, he started adding bodies in this season. And wow, he's, the first one was like, okay, it's all right. But the further you go along and the more you watch the process, you're like, wow, he's getting better and better and better. And then you go into the next room and you're like, oh my gosh, now he has like hands and feet and a body and a face. And look, he's like detailing the hair now. And it was so interesting to like walk through all of these halls and all of these different turns and like these different hallways to just watch the evolution of the man's process. And then finally, after you walk through all of these halls and you start seeing the evolution of his creative process, you finally turn the last corner and it's like, boom, whoa, there's Michelangelo's David, the statue of David. And oh my gosh, for those who don't know, the statue of David, I believe it is 17 feet tall. Like it's an enormous, gorgeous, beautiful statue, right? And I turned the corner, I was like, wow. But here's the crazy part. At no point of the journey through the museum where I'm walking through his process did I ever go, ew, that statue sucks. Oh man, he's terrible at noses on this season. Ha 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 ha. Of course not, right? But why do we as entrepreneurs think, I don't want to put anything out there until it's perfect, because what if they start laughing at me? Are you serious? Like, how incredible is it going to be for my grandkids to someday, somewhere out there, be able to listen back to this story and watch through my process? Like, not everything is a statue of David, right? Like, I will tell you this, as someone who's been there, done that, for the Michelangelo experience with the statue of David, it was just as beautiful, just as incredible, just as inspiring to watch the man's process as it was to watch his masterpiece. Are y'all getting this? So why am I starting out today's training with this story? Because if you're taking notes, I need you to write it down like this. Man is always favoring the future, but God is always forging the faithful. Man is always favoring the future, but God is always forging the faithful. If you're taking notes, I need you to write this down. Man prioritizes the prize, but God perfects through the process. I'll say it again because I see people's heads shaking. Man prioritizes the prize, but God perfects through the process. And if you're taking notes, I need you to write this other one down. People presume the promise is the point, but in God, the process is the prize. People presume the promise is the point, but in God, the process is the prize. Think about that. How many times do we as humans, as we're going through our different journeys, and in our case today, in our business journeys, do we like so idolize, like, if only one day I can just get to that $1 million. Man, if only I could just finally make whatever, 20K a month. If I could just get to 50K a month. If I could just get to 10K. And we idolize all of these moments, right? We idolize all of these, these ideas. But how many of y'all know that God, see, for man, the promise is the destination. But in God, The process is the destination. Why is it so important that you allow this process to work on you until it works for you? Because if you don't allow the process to forge you, if you don't allow the seasons and the hardships and it's so overwhelming and this feels so tough, good. You know why I say good? Because guess what? Right now, just like Michelangelo, you're learning how to get better at faces. You're learning how to detail the hair. You're learning how to make the fingernails look a certain way. Like, you're going through your process of perfection. And how many of y'all know that this part is just as epic, just as important? Somebody in the comments say important. This part is just as important as oh, I can't wait to become a millionaire. That's awesome. And I so desire that for you. But you know what I desire for you more than just the money? I desire that you actually become the person it takes in order to be worthy of the destination. Because right now, if you are not where you desire to be in your process, there's one thing and one thing alone that needs to be done. You have got to become the person. Why isn't it working yet? Because you're not the person. Why is it so hard? Because you're not who you need to be yet. Why is this so overwhelming? Because you are not there yet. And that is the point. I know y'all have heard me say this before, but I need you to understand. It will work on you until it works for you. And until you come to terms with this truth, it will work against you. That's why so many people who connect into my systems, so many people connect into my coaching, to my mentorship, right? And they sign up and they join like, woohoo. And a ton of people get amazing, crazy, mind-blowing, life-changing, like change the course of their family forever results. And then there's a number of people who are like, man, I've been connected to Rick for 3 weeks and I'm not a millionaire yet. This is too hard. I quit. Don't be that second person. Why do people who have this desire to like, man, one day I'm just going to get to that goal? That's awesome. But you know what my goal is? My goal is, this is not about another dollar sign for me. Of course, in business, money is part of business, duh. But my goal is, how much further can I go? How much more can I become? Like, for me, it's potential, man. I'm not chasing another $1 million. I'm chasing potential. Because when you chase potential, I'm telling you, why do guys like Warren Buffett, who's in his 90s, who's worth billions and billions of dollars, why does he still get up every single day and go to work as a 90-year-old with billions of dollars? Why? Because I'm telling you this, friends, many of you under the sound of my voice are going to eventually get to the place in your business and in your financial journey where it's like more money is not going to make your life any better. And when you get there, there's literally going to be a point where you're like, well, what else is there? Do I go to the beach again? I just went to the beach. Do I buy another cool car? Do I buy a bigger house? Like, what do I do after that? Buy an even bigger house? Like, do I buy 10 private jets? Like, serious? Like, there is a point where, like, more money doesn't increase the quality of your life. And it's at that point you actually begin to understand the real purpose of the game, which is, how much more can I become? I need at least 50 people in the comments right now say, become. We have got to become more. In fact, let me read you guys a really important scripture here, okay? This is Proverbs chapter 17. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 3. And I need you to pay very close attention to this, because this is absolute insanical at the implementation this is absolutely insanical when we begin to implement, thank you very much, open up mouth, when we begin to implement these words into our process, okay? Watch this, Proverbs 17, verse 3. It says this, the crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold. What does that mean? Can I share a little bit of wisdom with you, just from someone who has been where you are and who has had their back up against the wall more times than I can count, financially speaking, right? Who has cried the tears, who has prayed the prayers, God, what are we going to do? Oh my gosh, help. I've been there at least 100 times more than any of y'all watching me right now, I guarantee you. So if you're going through that and you're like, it's so hard, it's so overwhelming, welcome to the club, baby. I've been there dozens of times. So being where you are, having been where you are, going through what you're going through, and now being on this side of the process, can I drop some wisdom on you? The crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold. What does that mean? See, a crucible is a pot that melts metals, okay? And as you know, a furnace is used to heat the silver and the gold to a molten state, allowing for impurities to rise to the top and be removed. Why? So that the metal can become pure. Listen, the crazy part about all these principles is they work for believers and unbelievers. Like, if you are willing to stick with the process, like I need you to tell yourself something right now, okay? You need to tell yourself this. Listen, you can either give up, you can quit, or you can keep going. That's it. There's no other way. You can't stay stagnant. You can either stop and quit because it's too hard, or you can keep going and you can tell that obstacle, nothing is bigger than my God-given potential, and I can't wait to put this part of the statue into the hallway of my process because I am on my way to my Michelangelo moment. I am on my way to my statue of David. Are y'all getting this? Is this making sense to anybody here? Listen, one of the main reasons why so many people never achieve the success that they desire in their finances is because they are unwilling to stay faithful and stick with it in the midst of the mystery. I am a strong believer that God allows mystery. God allows process. God allows question marks many times into our process because it's in the midst of the process. It's in the midst of the mystery. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you actually become worthy of that goal. This is where you actually become worthy of that statue of David. Could you imagine if, like, after 3 attempts, Michelangelo is like, oh man, I stink at noses. I'm terrible at eyes. I can't, who in the world even wants to take this weird little piece of metal and carve into a rock? This is so dumb. It's too hard. I'm quitting. Could you imagine if that, like, there wouldn't be much to look at in his museum because he gave up too early. Are y'all tracking? So what I need you to understand is that in the midst of the mystery is where it actually counts, where you stick with it, where you stay faithful, where you don't give up. It's in the midst of the mystery where perfection is forged in the process. You might look at me and go, oh man, it's so easy for Rick. Really? I still have pickles that I've got to figure out. I've still got problems I've got to solve. I've still got puzzles that I've got to try to figure out. It's just at a whole different level. But honestly, I've come to the point where I love the game. I love the game of business and money and finances. It's just a big game. And the crazy part is that the longer you stick playing the game, the better you get at it. But I'll tell you this, If you quit the second the game gets hard, you ain't never going to win. Is this making sense? Just move your head up and down the screen like this if this is making sense. Yes, of course, right? You can't win the game if you're not in the game. So don't quit. You've got to stick with it. You've got to allow the crucible to perfect the silver and the furnace to perfect the gold. You've got to stay with it in the midst of the mystery. This is why I'm continually telling you guys about the be, do, have framework. Okay? If you're new here, let me break down for you. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, God literally gave us the blueprint, like the actual blueprint of how to achieve like uncanny, wild, beyond your imagination success. He just literally laid it out like some of the very first words in the Bible. He's like, here's how to unlock success. And can I break it down for y'all? Genesis 1:26. It says this, and God blessed them, and he spoke over them, be fruitful and multiply, and take dominion. So let's break this down, okay? Genesis 1:26, God blessed them. So the very first thing when it comes to stepping into blessing, favor, success, generational blessing is you've got to get your theology right around, does God actually desire for you to be blessed? Yes or yes? Which one? Yes. Why? How do we know this? Because the very first thing that God spoke over man was blessing. The very first thing. Like, there is a law, I don't have time to get into it right now, but there's a theological law called the law of first mentions. And anytime in the Bible where something is mentioned for the first time, there's a lot of juice in that, right? There's a lot of intention. Many times when something is mentioned for the first time, there's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of context and revelation and insight around that. And guess what? The very first time God speaks over mankind, what does he do? Does he say, hey, I want you to go through life suffering? No. Does he say, hey, I think it would be better for your humility if you lived in the gutter and always had to beg for bread and just lived in rags your whole life? Is that what he said to us? No. What's the very first thing God spoke over man? Blessing. So you've got to first and foremost, if you desire to achieve and unlock and unleash the success that you desire in your business, in your finances, in your life, first and foremost, even as you journey through your process, you have got to keep your theology correct that God desires for you to be blessed. Are y'all tracking? Shout yes in the comments if you're tracking, okay? So this is the very first, this is the foundational piece of it all. Even when it gets hard, even in the midst of mystery, even when you're like, God help, even when you don't know what the next step is, even when you're crying those tears, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. The theology around all of it has got to be, God desires for me to be blessed. God desires for me to overcome and to arise out of this, not just as an overcomer, as more than an overcomer, not just as a conqueror, as more than a conqueror. Because I don't know if y'all ever heard this or not before, but nothing is bigger than your God-given potential. Period. No obstacle, no overwhelm, no roadblock, no, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Welcome to the club. But you need to know this. God desires for you to be blessed out of all of it. God desires for this process to forge you. God desires for this crucible, for this furnace to purify all of the junk out of you so that you can be worthy to stand in that place of promise. So now, Genesis 1:26, the foundation of it all is to get your theology right even whenever it's hard, even in the midst of mystery. God desires for you to be blessed. That's the first thing, okay? But remember, the first thing it said, Genesis 1:26, God blessed them, and then he went on to say, be fruitful, multiply, and take dominion over the earth, okay? So let's break this down. God said, be fruitful, do multiply, because be fruitful, do multiply, and watch this, have dominion. Are you seeing it? God said, first you must become, because the more you can become, the easier it is to do, and the easier it is to do, the more qualified you are to have. Are y'all tracking? Shout yes in the comments. This is so hard, I feel like giving up. Don't do that, because the second you give up, you cease becoming more. The second you give up, you cease doing what it takes in order to have the thing that you desire. Like, I'm telling you, if you signed up, even the word tells us, okay? The man or woman who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom. If you put your hand to this plow of, I'm going to break every generational curse off of my lineage forever, I am going to figure this business thing out. I'm going to figure this financial thing out. I'm going to be the one who breaks every curse off my family and releases generational blessing. If you put your hand to that plow, do not look back. Burn every bridge, man. Get the mentality, get the idea that it has to work or it has to work. That's it. Okay, so God says, blessings over you. Now, be fruitful, do multiply, have dominion. Now, you may have seen me talk about this before, okay? But here's the interesting part. Let me ask you this question. What direction does a tree grow? What direction does a tree go? I see a lot of people going like this. Yes, a tree does grow up, but guess what? A tree also grows down. A tree doesn't just grow up, a tree also grows down. And here's the punchline, okay? There are so many people, especially people who have not done the work that it takes in order to bear the fruit that they desire, okay? And you have ordinary people who all they do is they look at the fruit, okay? And they're like, wow, it must be, look at Rick's fruit. Oh my gosh, he's just bearing fruit, must be nice. But guess what they didn't see? They didn't see the root, baby. They did not see all the blood, sweat, and tears. They didn't see like the person I had to become in order to finally get this fruit. Because here's the punchline, okay? Trees, yes, they grow up, but they also grow down, okay? And this part of the growth, the downward growth, is called the gravitropic growth. Okay, what does that mean? It means that is the growth that happens when nobody's looking. Like, could you imagine being a root and just growing deep into the soil? It's dark, it's cold, it's like muddy, right? There's no glam. No one can see the work that's actually being done. But how many of y'all know that if your roots are not deep, then your fruits will not be sweet? No one sees that root grow, man. Like maybe you are in the place right now, you're like, man, I don't see any fruit yet. But yeah, are you putting in the work? Are the roots going deep? Y'all may or may not know this, but there is a tree called the Chinese bamboo tree. And for the first 6 years, not 6 months, not 6 days, 6 years, the thing only grows downward. Could you imagine being a Chinese bamboo farmer, like the first one ever? And you like plant all these Chinese bamboo seeds and you're watering and the sunlight's coming down and you're just like, my God, it's taking these things a long time. And nothing happens for months and months and months and months, and nothing happens for year number 1. You're still watering, the sun's still coming down. Nothing happens for year number 2, year number 3, year number 4, and you like to the surface level, you're like, my gosh, man, this is pointless. Nothing is happening because I don't see any fruit. But here's the crazy part. In year 7, not only does the Chinese bamboo tree break ground and start growing up, But in as little as 90 days, the thing can reach 100 feet tall. What? Like, that's insane. That is so how God works, man. Man, I haven't become a millionaire yet. I'm working on my funnel. I'm trying to get my digital product going. I'm trying to lock in my niche. How come I'm not a millionaire yet? Because you haven't become. These root seasons, this is you becoming. That's the gravitrophic work. Okay? The stronger the roots get, the more you become, then guess what? The trunk, the stability, this is the doing, right? These are the skills that begin to develop as you get stronger and stronger and stronger. There's been many times students will come in and they'll be like, man, I've been working on trying to put together my digital products, or I've been building a funnel, and man, I was a slow learner and it took me, 6 months to build it. And then all of a sudden I accidentally hit delete one day and oh my gosh, like I lost all my work over 6 months. But then it was interesting because what took me 6 months to build, I built the whole entire thing in one day. Like when I accidentally deleted my work, I just rebuilt everything in a day. Guys, that's what happens when the roots are going deep. The more you become, the easier it is to do the stuff. And guess what? The easier it is to do the stuff, the more you are qualified to have the fruit. So yes, a tree doesn't just grow up, it grows down. The downward growth is called the gravitrophic. The upward growth is called the phototropic growth. What does that mean? Phototropic, like it means it reaches for the light. You might look at my life and go, oh man, Rick's got so much fruit. Bro, you don't know the roots that I had to put down. Not just in my business. I never thought I would be able to say this. I actually got in shape the past 3 years. That's crazy. I never thought I'd be able to say that. Why? Because if you're taking notes, write it down like this. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. I had a client come up to me last year, and he was a top level client, paid a ton of money, and we were sitting down having dinner last year, and he said, Rick, can I tell you something? He said, I've been following you for a very long time. I've been following your journey, and he said, when you first started talking about business, there was something in my heart that I knew I needed to connect with you, but I'll be honest with you, bro, because you were out of shape, I didn't think that, I wouldn't taken you serious. I was like, really? He goes, yep. And then when I started to see that your life was getting in order, not just like in your finances or in your spiritual life, but your actual physical body was getting into shape, he said, I booked an appointment, and I paid you a whole bunch of money. Guys, I'm telling you, all of this is connected together. It's not just like, man, I hope I can become a millionaire. No, you must become more, not just as a business person. You must become more as a human, as a man or a woman who has unlimited potential. Because guess what? God blessed them. Then he said, be fruitful, do multiply, have dominion. He said, become more so that you can do it easier, so that you can have the stuff that you desire to have. And when you do this, you, my friend, will be blessed in everything. You will be like Psalm chapter 1, like the tree planted by the rivers of living water that bears fruit in every season. So with this being said, okay, this process that you are in right now, in your business journey, in your financial journey, yes, you're learning new skills. Congratulations. It's hard. Congratulations. It feels difficult. Congratulations. It feels overwhelming. Congratulations. You are officially in the game. You are officially playing the game. It's so hard. Don't give up, because guess what? Listen, if you're taking notes, write this down. The only way to lose is to never start or give up too early. There's only 2 ways to lose: never start or to give up too early. Now, the cool part is you've already started because you're here listening to me. So for you listening to my voice right now, there's only one way for you to lose, and that's to give up too early. You cannot win the game if you're not in the game. Oh man, but it's just so hard. If you give up, you're definitely not going to win. You can either quit or you can keep going. Which one? You can either quit or you can go harder. Which one? You can either give up too early and never have a chance of winning ever in your life because you gave up, or you can stick with it and be faithful in the midst of the mystery, understanding that it will work on you until it works for you. And just because you may not see the fruit in this season, you are putting down roots in this season. If you're taking notes, write this down. You cannot claim to desire more out of life when you're only doing the bare minimum. Whoa. You cannot claim that you desire more out of life when you're only doing the bare minimum. Serious? I want more out of life. Well, how much are you doing? Well, not much. Then don't say you desire more. Man, it'd be so nice to blah, blah, blah. It'd be so awesome to this and that. It would be awesome. How much work are you putting in order to see that reality come to pass? Well, how much have you posted? How many lessons have you gone through? How much action have you taken? How many lead magnets have you built? How many courses are you creating right now? It's so hard. Good, stick with it. You need it to be hard. If it was easy, everyone on this planet would be a multi-gajillionaire. But guess what? It's not easy. It takes some work. It takes some grit. But that's the point. It's in the process that qualifies you for the promise. You cannot have the promise if you don't go through the process. If you quit the process early, you'll never get to the promise. The crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold. Don't claim that you desire more out of life when you're only doing the bare minimum. Get real with yourself, man. Get real with yourself. Ask yourself this question. I need every eyeball to listen to me, or every ear and every eyeball. Pay attention to listen to what I'm about to say, okay? Honest question. Ask yourself this question. If you were to double the effort that you are currently putting in now, think about that. What does that mean for you? Everyone's on a different part of the journey. That's okay. But just simply asked, if you were to simply double the effort that you are putting in now, don't you think you would hit your goal a lot faster? Yes or yes? I want so much more out of life, but I'm only doing the bare minimum. That's not how it works. Ask yourself another question. You guys ready for this? Ask yourself this next question, okay? And maybe write it down if it's important enough. I think it is. Ask yourself this question. If you knew that you were only 30 failed attempts to winning, how fast would you start failing? If you knew you were only 23 failed attempts to your win, how fast would you start losing? If you knew you were only 81 failed attempts to your first gigantic win, how fast would you start failing? Immediately or immediately? Which one? Immediately. This is the game, my friends. This is how it works. So now that we're understanding that we must stick with it in the mystery, we must allow the process to perfect us because this is how God works. being faithful through the process is what qualifies us to be able to stand in the promise. Now that we understand this, now that you understand, man, I am on my journey of creativity, my journey of becoming just like Michelangelo's museum, where you walk through this corner and then you walk through that, and yeah, he's getting a little better here. She's getting it a little bit better there. Oh, she got a little bit more skilled over here. She got a little bit more skilled over here. He's really getting it now. And then guess what? You're like, for those who are on that path and you're sticking with it, maybe you haven't hit your statue of David moment yet, but I'm telling you, if you're sticking with it, it's only a matter of time until you cut that corner and voila, there's your statue of David moment. There's your masterpiece moment. So now that we're understanding all this, can I give everybody here 3 secrets on how to make it through the process? Is that all right with you? If that's all right, drop a yes in the comments. 3 secrets of making it through the process. So how in the world do we actually stick with it in the mystery? How in the world do we actually continue through the process? How do we not grow weary in well-doing, but stay faithful? Because if in due season we will reap if we do not faint. How do we do this? If you're ready for secret number 1, drop a 1 in the chat. And the first thing you got to do is you must frame the process. What does that mean? Decide up front. Decide up front. Decide right now that arriving to some certain destination is not the win. The process is the win. $1 million is not the win. You being faithful with today and putting in massive action today is the win. It's not some monetary number that is the win. It's you being disciplined today. That is the win. Decide right now to change the frame of the process. And here's what I need you to do, okay? You need to learn how to reframe any delays, any resistance, any roadblocks, any troubles, any overwhelm, any tough seasons. Reframe them to, this isn't just hard, this is my training ground. Reframe those hard times, those difficult situations that overwhelm, not as punishment, but as preparation. Man, it's so tough right now. Oh, boo-hoo. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and start leveling up, man, because this is your preparation. You are not worthy of standing in the fulfilled promise if you can't even be faithful with the process. So number 1, you've got to frame and reframe the process. Decide right now that any delay, any overwhelm, any hard situation, any tough season, it's not punishment, it's preparation, okay? If you're ready for secret number 2, drop a 2 in the chat. So now that we have reframed the process, what's secret number 2 on how to get over those seasons of being overwhelmed? What's the next secret that we need to unlock in order to make it through the process? Well, number 1, we framed the process. Number 2, what do you got to do? You got to faithfully practice. You must be consistent with the unglamorous side of the work. I believe it was Mike Tyson who said it like this: discipline is doing the thing that you hate like you love it. Man, I will tell y'all this right now. There are so many parts of my day-to-day life that I despise doing, but I know I have got to show up and do this, because if they don't get done, there's going to be a lot of holes left and I'm going to really drop the ball. So I have to sit there and force myself to be disciplined and do it. And then on top of that, I'm also wanting to stay connected to God. I'm also a husband. I'm a father. I also want to go to the gym. I also want to run my main company, where is my consulting company, Get Wisdom, and help people like you guys. on top of all the other stuff that I'm dealing with. I'm telling you this, okay? You may not have been born with a gigantic capacity, but every single one of us can grow our capacity by simply showing up and staying faithful in the discipline of consistency through the unglamorous work. If you're taking notes, write it down like this. You guys ready? This is a writer downer. Consistency under obscurity is what compounds competence and character. Consistency under obscurity is what compounds competence and character. I'll say it one more time. Consistency under obscurity is what compounds competence and character. So the very first thing we've got to do in order to make it through the process, you got to reframe all of these different hardships, not as punishment, but as preparation. Number 2, you must faithfully practice. You've got to stay consistent. You've got to be disciplined. No, you don't need more inspiration. Listen, I'm not here to be your motivational speaker today. Man, Rick's message fired me up. His training, oh my gosh. I hope it's not that. I desire that this training today wouldn't just be like a kick in the pants for you, but it would be an unlock to set you in motion for discipline and not just inspiration. Because guess what? If you only use this training as inspiration, inspiration can go away the second like the dog poo-poos on the carpet tonight or whatever, or the kid, they're screaming in your ear and you've had a rough day, or, the new bill that you weren't expecting hits. And you're like, oh my gosh, like motivation will come and go just as easy. Like it goes as easy as it comes. But discipline is doing the thing that you hate like you love it. Okay? So number 1, reframe the process. Number 2, faithfully practice. Number 3, drop a 3 in the chat if you guys are ready for secret number 3. Now that we're doing all this, what are we going to do next? You are going to fulfill with precision. Fulfill with precision. What does that mean? It means you must stay committed to the work even when results are going slower than you desire. Because if you're taking notes, write it down like this. Alignment always outlasts timing. Alignment always outlasts timing. What does that mean? It means when you can stick with it and faithfully fulfill with precision. I don't want to shoot videos. It's too hard. I don't like my voice. I don't like my face. I don't like my hair. I look weird. Do it anyways. I don't want to have to learn how to build this funnel thing. I don't want to have to learn how to do digital marketing. It's too hard. Do it anyways. Your children and your children's children are depending on you becoming the person who can do the stuff so that you can actually take dominion and have all the things that you desire to have. Stick with it like your future depends on it, because it does. The more you can become, the more you can do, the easier it is to do, the more you can have. You must become more. It's not about a number. No one here, I hope you're not chasing a dollar. I'm not chasing a dollar sign. I hope you're not chasing a dollar sign. Why? Because you will figure out really quick, especially as you become the person it takes more and more and more and more, as you begin to put in the reps. And as you become the person, it will become easier and easier and easier and easier to make the money that you desire to make. And there will be a point for many of you very soon that you're like, my life can't literally get any better with more money because it's already amazing. What do I do now? You continue to pursue your potential through the process. Allow the process to do what the process does.